Get ready for the action, because Discovery Bank is revolutionizing customer engagement with cutting-edge technology. Discovery Bank deployed Discovery AI using Azure OpenAI and Foundry models and Azure Databricks to deliver continuous, personalized next best actions inside its mobile app and via WhatsApp. This powerful system is reportedly doubling client engagement and slashing response latency by over 50%, proving that proactive personalization is the future of banking. Critical lessons learned about cloud defense. Finally, we look at the future roadmap. Microsoft is laying the groundwork for autonomous AI systems with the announcement of Azure Linux 4 and the new Microsoft Agent Framework, positioning them to dominate the next generation of AI. Stay with us, because we have all the analysis you need to decide what to buy or sell right now. Discovery Bank is leveraging an always-on artificial intelligence system to deliver continuous, personalized recommendations within its mobile application and via WhatsApp, marking a significant step in proactive financial services. According to a Microsoft customer case study, Discovery Bank built its Discovery AI using Azure OpenAI within Foundry models and Azure Databricks to power these personalized actions. The deployment has yielded substantial results, with Microsoft reporting that the system doubled client engagement with next best actions and reduced response latency by over 50%. The system operates by continuously ingesting real-time client signals, including spending patterns, savings milestones, and transaction activity. It employs a behavioral modeling engine to surface relevant recommendations proactively, rather than waiting for explicit customer queries. This continuous execution distinguishes the system from typical conversational AI, focusing on detecting moments for intervention. Furthermore, Discovery Bank is pursuing a strategy to integrate its broader group services into the banking app, aiming for a super app experience. CEO Hilton Kalner has stated that the app has become the primary digital gateway into the entire Discovery ecosystem. Microsoft attributes the performance gains to the integrated stack, highlighting that combining the behavioral profiling stack with generative AI produces modeled recommendations. Industry analysis suggests that achieving low-latency inference pipelines and streaming feature stores is crucial for event-driven personalization. The reported 50% latency reduction and doubled engagement underscore that optimizing model serving, caching, and endpoint performance often drives greater user experience gains than incremental accuracy improvements. This deployment is positioned as a concrete example of generative AI being used proactively in consumer banking for behavior-driven recommendations. Industry observers are monitoring how firms govern these always-on recommendation surfaces, focusing on safety, guardrails, audit trails, and the operational costs associated with these advanced systems. Microsoft and Meta platforms, despite being among the largest investors in artificial intelligence capital expenditure, are currently trading at muted valuations. Meta is demonstrating strong advertising metrics, while Microsoft Azure is experiencing a 40% growth rate, with Copilot monetization actively underway. Analysts suggest that while significant investment in AI infrastructure raises concerns about a potential bubble, there is potential for investors to see substantial returns justifying this spending. The current valuation of these megacap tech titans, particularly Microsoft and Meta, may even be at risk of trading below pre-AI boom levels. The report questions whether this presents a buying opportunity or if a wait-and-see approach is wiser. Despite the high capital expenditure, the report argues that these leaders are not immediately pausing spending, having already cut costs elsewhere. The author posits that if sustained, multi-year capex continues without commensurate returns, a discount on these major spenders might become warranted. Key drivers for optimism include Meta's strong ad and engagement metrics, the long-term potential of initiatives like Muse Spark within WhatsApp, and Microsoft Azure's rapid growth coupled with Copilot monetization. The analysis concludes that dismissing current AI monetization progress due to future capex concerns would be a mistake. Microsoft and Meta are highlighted as big AI spenders, poised for a significant payoff, possessing strong underlying growth businesses that generate substantial earnings. Investors are aware of the risks associated with the dot-com bust and potential AI bubbles. However, the report maintains that these companies are currently priced reasonably and are already activating their AI-driven monetization engines. The underlying thesis is that as the return on investment becomes clearer, investor willingness to buy, even amid rising capex, will increase, suggesting these out-of-favor tech leaders could realize a major AI payoff. Microsoft Threat Intelligence has released detailed findings concerning a sophisticated cyber attack executed by the threat actor tracked as Storm 2949, which evolved from an initial identity compromise into a massive breach spanning cloud infrastructure and sensitive enterprise systems. The campaign demonstrated a critical vulnerability where compromised identities serve as the primary gateway to an organization's entire cloud ecosystem. The attack unfolded in two distinct phases: an initial identity compromise followed by a comprehensive takeover of the cloud infrastructure. Instead of deploying traditional malware, Storm 2949 leveraged legitimate cloud administration tools and Azure management features to seamlessly blend into normal network activity while gaining access to high-value assets. The initial phase focused on social engineering targeting employees via Microsoft's self-service password, reset SSPR, process. Investigators believe Storm 2949 impersonated internal IT support, persuading victims to approve multi-factor authentication, MFA, requests under the guise of routine verification. Upon user action, the attackers reset passwords and removed existing authentication methods, including phone numbers and authenticator registrations, effectively neutralizing MFA and locking legitimate users out. This process was systematically repeated against numerous employees, including IT staff and senior leadership, indicating a deliberate focus on accounts with elevated privileges. Following identity compromise, Storm 2949 utilized custom Python scripts employing the Microsoft Graph API to conduct directory discovery, mapping out users, applications, and service principals within the Microsoft Entra ID tenant to identify avenues for expanded access. The breach rapidly expanded into Microsoft 365 services, specifically OneDrive and SharePoint, where attackers targeted sensitive IT documents, including VPN configurations and remote access procedures. In one instance, Storm 2949 downloaded thousands of files from the OneDrive web interface in a single operation, exploiting access across multiple compromised accounts. With multiple identities secured, the threat actor shifted focus to Azure subscriptions hosting production environments. Compromised accounts held privileged Azure role-based access control, RBAC permissions, granting access to critical resources such as Azure App Services, key vaults, storage accounts, SQL databases, and virtual machines. Attackers successfully pivoted from the primary application to secondary services. By exploiting the management plane operation for Azure App Services, they retrieved deployment credentials for services like FTP and Web Deploy via the Kudu console, allowing them to inspect environment variables and execute commands. A critical breakthrough occurred when an account with owner role access to a key vault was used to alter access settings and extract dozens of secrets, including database connection strings and identity credentials, which ultimately provided access to the main production web application. Further data exfiltration involved manipulating Azure SQL servers by modifying firewall rules and using retrieved credentials to connect, followed by deleting the altered rules as a defense evasion tactic. Similarly, attackers manipulated Azure Storage account network configurations to enable public access and retrieved storage account keys and SAS tokens, subsequently downloading large volumes of data using custom scripts. Virtual machines were also targeted using Azure VM extensions like VM Access to establish local administrator access. Attackers attempted to exploit managed identities, but failed due to insufficient permissions. Furthermore, they deployed PowerShell scripts via run command to disable Microsoft Defender antivirus protections, clear logs, and erase command histories to minimize forensic visibility. To maintain persistence and evade detection, the threat actor installed Screen Connect remote management software, disguised as legitimate updates, and used it for reconnaissance, credential harvesting, and exfiltrating private key files. While endpoint activity was extensive, investigators found limited evidence of high-value endpoint data theft, suggesting the endpoint compromises were primarily for credential harvesting and lateral movement. Microsoft Defender successfully generated multiple alerts, enabling analysts to correlate cloud, identity, and endpoint telemetry. The incident underscores the growing necessity of integrated detection and response capabilities, emphasizing that modern threats prioritize targeting cloud identities and management planes over traditional endpoint-centric attacks. Microsoft navigiert in einer Phase intensiver technologischer Entwicklung, die jedoch von erheblichen Sicherheitsherausforderungen überschattet wird. Das Unternehmen investiert massiv in die Infrastruktur für autonome künstliche Intelligenz, während es gleichzeitig mit kritischen Sicherheitslücken im Kerngeschäft kämpft, was zu gemischten Reaktionen bei Anlegern führt. Die Aktie notiert aktuell bei €36.340 und verzeichnet auf Wochensicht einen Anstieg von knapp 5%. Obwohl sie seit Jahresbeginn rund 10% im- liegt. Im Bereich der KI setzt Microsoft auf die Entwicklung von Azure Linux vor, das Betriebssystem als Fundament für agentische KI-System dienen soll, die in der Lage sind, komplex Aufgaben eigenständig zu übernehmen. Irgendwann dazu meldet das Unternehmen die allgemeine Verfügbarkeit von Azure Container Linux. Brendan Burns, Leiter des Cloud-Bereichs, präsentiert die Vision eines offenen Stacks für KI-Agenten, wobei das new Microsoft Agent Framework als zentraler Baustein hervorgehoben wird. Ziel ist es, die Infrastruktur für die nächste KI-Generation zu dominieren, indem Entwicklersystem aus mehreren KI-Agenten erstellen und verwalten können. Parallel zur strategischen KI-Entwicklung steht Microsoft vor dringenden Sicherheitsfragen. Sicherheitsexperten warnen vor einer kritischen Schwachstelle in Microsoft Exchange, die bereits von Angreifern ausgenutzt wird. Kunden werden dringend aufgefordert, einen Notfallpatch zu aktivieren, während das Unternehmen ein finales Sicherheitsupdate entwickelt. Auch bei Windows 11 gab es Problem mit Sicherheitsupdates, die auf einigen Systemen fehlschlugen und Nutzer zur Rücksitzung aufforderten. Eine positive Entwicklung ist im Browser, Edge zu verzeichnen, wo die Speicherung von Passwörtern beim Start nicht mehr unverschlüsselt im Arbeitsspeicher erfolgt, was Datendiebstahl erschwert. Investoren blicken nun auf Anfang Juni, indem die Entwicklerkonferenz Microsoft Build in San Francisco stattfindet. Dort sollen weiter Details zur Integration von Open-Source-Workzeugen präsentiert werden. Ein nahtlos Einbindung dieser Workzeuge in Azure soll Microsoft ein Schlüsselposition im Markt für autonom KI sichern. Ein aktuell Analyse vom 19. Mai Dutet auf dringenden Handlungsbedarf für die Microsoft Aktie hin und bietet detailliert Empfehlungen für Investoren.